Hello, this is William Hung, and it is Seltzer Time.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Seltzer Time podcast. It's your boy Ricky, aka Dick Chuck, aka the man behind the can at Seltzer Time Official. Here is always with my conversation accomplice, the man with the hunch about Worcester, Travis.
What is crackin', Fizzle Fiends? Welcome back to another episode of the Seltzer Time podcast. And as always, we are so glad you're with us. This week on the show, we are talking to Beer and Brand Evangelist JT Ethier from Greater Good Imperial Brewing Company. But before we get there, you guys know what we have to do. Hey, Ricky, how was Black Friday and how was Thanksgiving? How was your week?
Hey, man.
Been a week.
It was good. It has very much so been a week. Everything was good. Thanksgiving was super chill. Nothing really wild. Black Friday was very wild. We had two very, very, very long days full of a lot of iced coffee and a lot of shipping and packaging and running outside. But it was awesome. It's cool.
Steps, you said?
Yeah, 20,000 steps I did in a little store. It was like 7.8 or 9 miles. It was a lot. It was a lot in a 25 hours span. But it was good. It's really good. Other than that, just kind of chilling, you know. We're having a tree taken down over at our house, which is why I'm over at Naomi's parents, hanging out back in the family room.
Beautiful space painting.
Beautiful space painting. And then I'll take a picture of it, but there's a poster of Kenda, you know, the polar bear from the, what the heck's that place? Ecotarium.
Okay. I don't remember.
There's like
that.
an old school poster of Kenda. I'll take a picture and post it. It's pretty dope.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, that was about it. I showed Naomi the Mighty Ducks movies last night.
Both of them?
That was super cool. All three. We watched all three.
The goalie!
Oh yeah.
It's my favorite part of the second. The Icelandic
all three
coach.
of them in a row.
That's impressive. That's a lot of ducks.
Yeah. So like not surprising, but like the third one sucks. It's not that good. I always kind of thought that it would be a little bit better than it was, and it's not. So that was kind of a bummer. The first one is obviously the best.
First is the best.
The second one's good, but it's not as good as I like wanted it. It's not as good as it was when I was a little kid. Like there's just more of a like, what kind of factor to it.
It's not very, like the first one's very hockey. The second one's a little more slapstick.
Yeah, exactly. It was cool. How was your week?
It was good.
In your holiday?
My beautiful wife had her 35th birthday on Tuesday. So I promised her that no one should have to drink alone. So I drank cocktails and I had some of that Greater Good Woo beer that we're talking about later today.
There you go.
Got a little schmammered. Apparently I ordered pizza at 10 o'clock and forgot that I ordered pizza and then was frightened by the doorbell of the delivery guy.
That's awesome.
But it was good. Sarah's trying to get into like mixing cocktails. She likes she keeps getting these cocktail books from her mom and she's building out her bar. So it was fun.
There you go. I've been working on my home bar.
Yeah, you have to, right?
It's a fun little project.
I mean, like it's for me, it'd be like having a nice selection of glassware that for when we can bring people over and smoke with them again. I like having options because you look like a fancy pants if you have, you know, a bong and a double boiler anyway.
There you go.
Thanksgiving for us was super boiled down. It was just the two of us and we cooked a chicken. It was the biggest meal we've ever made for just the two of us, which was kind of cool. And I made this pudding pie that was described as luxurious on the online recipe, and it was luxurious. And I made my own crust, and that was cool.
Nice.
And then, yeah, the weekend was normal. I didn't work. I mean, I worked my stuff, but not retail.
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
So
Smart.
it was peaceful.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, I think we could probably rip into this interview with JT because it's far more interesting than what we have to talk about.
Let's do it.
What's cracking, Fizzle Fiends? This week on the show, we are talking to JT Ethier, Beer and Brand Evangelist for Greater Good, Imperial Brewery. JT, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Oh man, thank you guys for having me so much. This is awesome. Long time coming, I feel like.
Yeah, it's like one of those things that we just like, all right, we got to set up that show. And then 2 months would go by. All right, we really got to set up that show. And then another couple months would go by. So
well, we're not
we're
like anywhere,
right.
Clearly.
We're on like a string of like, it's so funny finally having you on the show. And then last week we had Paul from Lincoln Crafted on the show. Cause you like both of you guys are like, oh, we got to have those guys on the show. And it makes so much sense to do it. We just never did it. And then all of a sudden 2 in a row, it was you guys.
No, I saw that. I actually have a Lincoln candle right behind me here. The Pulp Can's a Lincoln candle. Yeah. Paul's a great guy.
Nice.
He's a good dude. Yeah. He was great on the show last week. And we definitely talked Greater Good.
I heard.
Watched.
Yeah, I heard. Sorry. Yeah.
It's cool. Our YouTube numbers are up and I'm pumped.
Yeah. Yeah. COVID's good for something, I guess, right?
Well, I was thinking that too, because COVID's been good for our YouTube numbers and it's been good for us to actually get interviews with all these people we've really been meaning to get interviews with.
Yeah. We talked about the flexibility. Yeah. Open the computer and you're ready to go.
Just works.
So you mentioned that you guys aren't going anywhere. I mean, clearly you guys have been open throughout this stuff and selling beer to the people. How's it going? How's it over at the brewery?
We'll all say that it could be better, obviously, during this, but we've been doing what we can, constantly adapting. You guys know the space, it's a big space. So we've, even with the limitations, we've been able to spread people out. We've got some plastic barriers up to allow people to sit, at the bar. There's no bar service because that's not allowed, but we've got that giant bar that allows people to, kind of use it as tables over at the corners. We've opened the back up to add a couple more tables in there. So yeah, so it's been okay. With the outdoor, being shut down now, essentially with the weather. I mean, we're running tables out there every time it hits 60 degrees. So we're like carrying the tables out through the tap room. We're like, no, people are going to want to sit out here today. So that's a battle that we're constantly fighting too. But we've been making it through. We've been getting there. Everybody's been super flexible and willing to adapt, which has been awesome.
I'm super interested.
Have you guys?
Oh, go ahead, Ricky.
No, you. Go.
I'm super interested to see how these companies like yours are going to adapt with the changing seasons, and like if there's thoughts about making those outdoor spaces more inhabitable with propane heaters or stuff like that, or if that's even a consideration.
That's what I was going to ask. So propane heater.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is our first winter thinking about anything like that. Like, we went through everything from awnings to tents to igloos, propane, like you said, like everything. Thinking just so, about what we could possibly do out there, but it's trickier than you think. I mean, we had the mayor and the city manager in when we did the equality beer. You guys probably saw the lager, the proceeds. Yeah, went to the nativity school. We had them in, and I just mentioned to the mayor, I was like, we were thinking, tent out there with some propane. He was like, oh yeah, public health would sign off on this and these people would be all down for that. And I was like, we thought a tent would be cool. So, but okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, public health and stuff like that. So there are a lot of things that you have to go through to make those things happen with like a propane heater in a tent is something that needs, protocols and inspection and all that kind of stuff. And we kind of made the decision with the limited table seating that we had out there that we could open up more space in the brewery. We could be flexible there and make it work that way. So yeah, nice. You roll with the punches.
Yeah, right.
Definitely.
It's awesome. Have you guys seen like a huge spike in cans to go rather than people like coming in and being able to hang out?
So during really when COVID first hit, it was insane. Yeah. We had to, peel back our staff to only 3 people. So there was 3 of us doing it the whole time because people weren't allowed inside to sit down and eat. But at that point, the cans went through the roof. We, had tables set up all around the tap room. We'd get in. Sometimes we'd have 50, 60 orders, like when we came in the morning. So, I mean, we were looking at, I'd be like, okay, 3 o'clock's coming up. All right, there's 12, 13, 14, 15 people coming to get their orders at between 3 and 3:30. So people definitely, and that was right around the time of the first stimulus also. So that I'm sure that
people helped. Invested
that probably helped.
Yes, people were investing for the long term, or given the cases of beer, it was long term.
So you just had all these cases staged throughout the tap room. You basically look like a warehouse.
Essentially, that's what it was. Yeah, it looked like kind of like an Amazon like distribution center. Like it was like ordered like pieces of paper attached to like just cases of beer, where people had the time that they were going to pick it up at what they wanted, and we were just constantly pulling it out of the fridge and
That's so
sanitizing
insane.
everything. And at that point, we had balls and balls and balls of Sandy every time somebody came in the door. We were doing the handle, and that was all still happening. And people were everybody that walked in was wearing gloves still. So it was we still see a lot of that, obviously, safety wise, but it was kind of like a war zone back then, trying to get people their beer.
Back then,
I know, right? Back in the good old
Back
days.
in my day.
that is, I mean, but truthfully, like that is the shitty part of this whole thing. We keep bringing it up, is that I can't believe we're out of November. And then all of a sudden you're saying back then, what was that, March? Like
4 phases ago.
Yeah, shit.
That's what it was. It's like every time a new set of restrictions or rollbacks come, it's like, oh, that was, that year's over. Now we're on to this new phase of the service.
I am pumped to hear you guys are still staying fruitful throughout this whole thing, and even coming up with new offerings. Like I saw the seltzer. Of course, your seltzer boys noticed that you guys have been pushing out the seltzer.
Yeah, and that was something that we obviously talked about. We saw the changing dynamics in the market. People were looking for something that was lower calorie, and the seltzers were just going crazy. When you see, Coors Light and Corona and all these places, Bud Light doing seltzers, that the numbers are showing that it's happening. So we want to make something. I feel like
they all came out with a seltzer this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, you'll see the distribution companies are like doing all their thing too. They're like, oh wow, we're moving like 20% more seltzer, whatever it is. I wouldn't know the number, but than we were last year. And they're like, holy crap, like the warehouse space is changing for them. The personnel is changing for them because of it. And you see the big companies now going, we need to get something out there. You have billboards in Worcester about it.
Yeah, that's so insane.
Yeah, it is. It is wild. So we want to take a shot at it. And the first run was good. It was tap room only though. We were like, it's something we described as a craft cocktail almost. It's 8% because we're all Imperial, so it had to be high.
I was about to ask, like, does it make it? Is there an Imperial seltzer? Are you defining the category?
Well, so you have your what are they? You have a Four Loko, which actually does like a 12%, I believe.
Oh my god.
I know, right? Like they Four Loko put one out, and then there's a couple more that are super high ABV. I'm trying to think of who does them, but we obviously, I went down to my local shop here at the Wine and Spirits here on Grove Street and bought like 14 different seltzers. Yeah, no, they have a great selection, and there was like 14 different selections. So I was like, all right, we're doing some sampling, and the guy kind of looked at me weird when I checked out all this seltzer because he knew me from Greater Good. He's going, what's going on, huh? I was like, hopefully never have this much seltzer in my car again. But
I knew we were going to be talking about some beer brands today, but Four Loko was not on my bingo list.
Well, we reeled that one back in. No, I was shocked when I saw it there too. I was like, well, I have to grab this one. It comes in, one of the massive cans.
There's no way it's good, right?
It depends on who you are, I guess. Because I drink it, it tastes like it's super like Four Loko-y, I should say. I don't want to like disparage them, but it's Four Loko-y. If you remember Four Lokos, the originals, they were sugar bombs. Like
yes.
So
break shit drunk.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what it was. No, that's awesome. That was one of the last ones that everybody tried. It just kind of sat there in the corner until people, worked up the courage to finally drink it. But no, we looked at the flavor of everything. We were like, a lot of these are really sweet, and that's not what we wanted to do with the seltzer. You don't think of really sweet when you think of seltzer. And even a lot of people say bitter even when they have one. So we thought it was good. The first one, we were like, we don't want to do too much more, add too much more flavor to this because it's going to be, we want it to be low calorie and drink like a craft cocktail like we had originally described it. So we poured over ice. We put some fruit in there, and people actually love it. So that's been a huge win for us. Yeah. It's constantly one of our top 3 or 4 pours in the draft room is that seltzer. So
really,
and now we're even branching out. One of our bartenders, Kyle, Ricky knows Kyle, was like, why don't we just throw some, he was like, why don't we just throw some juice in one of these? It's like no cost to us, really. It's just so limited. We throw in there a little bit of color, like a little bit of cranberry, I believe is what they're using, or lemonade. And it's like you got your own craft seltzer cocktail.
Yeah,
freaks people out. Take pictures of it on social media. Yeah.
Oh, it's
I was gonna say,
Instagrammable.
I think Aviva posted the picture that I saw the first time.
Probably, yeah. She wasn't paid.
And I was like,
yeah. Disclaimer.
I was just like, what is going on? That's amazing. That's so sick.
We put a post out in that day. I was like, I hope you guys have extra staff because it's like 65 degrees out, and that picture is like this bright red, like 8% Celsius.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you post anything pink, people lose their minds for it.
I was like, yeah, I hope you guys got an extra person coming in because this is going to be a whole different crowd today. I think it's going to, I mean, the way I talk about it, looking at our numbers, it's traditionally like 65%, 35%, like men, women. And when we do something like that, it evens right out to like 50-50, like in no time at all.
That's awesome.
So it's funny to look at the numbers like that. And especially like people who bring, gluten intolerant people in and stuff like that typically can't drink an IPA or a soda or something like that. Definitely you see bigger parties.
I mean, now they have something to drink other than water. I mean, it's boozy water.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it tastes, I mean, we always have the polar products. Don't get me wrong. We have the polar products, but when you come to a brewery, you're not looking to really drink polar products all day.
Yeah, exactly.
Speak for yourself. I came for the grilled cheese.
You did. Oh, see, that's a whole other thing we have now.
There you go. Yeah. I was going to say, I know.
Demographic.
Yeah. You guys switched over the kitchen, right? There's like much more, it almost feels like there's more of like an emphasis on the food.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, Sal has taken over completely in there. Sal Garcia, he's a local guy. He's been around several local restaurants for years.
He's the best.
Yeah, he's awesome. Such a fun guy. Really loves that he's got control of that kitchen now. He's putting some culturally influenced dishes on there. It's not just grilled cheeses anymore. It was for a while. We were doing grilled cheese and pretzels like you read about. It was a grilled cheese factory at one point. But at some point, a part of our goal was to become a legitimate, premier brew pub. We want really good food to match the really good beer and a sit down experience for people. Something that we really saw there wasn't much of. You get Jack's Abbey, obviously. That's still a beer hall feel. You still got a really big, wide open space. So, this is just another step towards that. And COVID kind of forced our hand a little bit to become that sit down experience. So, I don't want to say everything happens for a reason about such an awful thing, but we made the best out of it.
You adapt. It's all about adapting.
Yeah, you do. Exactly. You roll with it.
It's not about lacking resources. It's about lacking resources.
Are people getting?
Go ahead.
Are people getting food to go? Sorry.
Some people. Some of our most popular regulars. Some of the people who are there all the time live in the area. Maybe they really love the food. There's a dish they really like. They'll pick up like a buffalo chicken dip to go or something like that.
That's awesome.
When they pick up their beer. That's something that we, have been expecting. I went all out and did a Grubhub account just in case, so we have that.
Cool.
But not likely to launch that. But like you said, you just have to prepare for anything that's going to happen. So having backup plans, we have that in place. We can do takeout. So if anybody wants takeout, they can just call the brewery and order their food. The menu's right there online, and Mike will probably have it there at the front for you when you show up.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, Sal loved it too.
Yeah. Every time you guys post anything, it just kills me. I'm like, that looks so good.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. He does. He'll make food to go. He'll customize it for you a little bit too. So he does the rotating burgers. He did a jalapeno and feta infused burger one week, and so he's every week it's kind of a different burger where he makes the patty differently, but. The chicken sandwich is also fire. I don't know if you've had it before, but he's selling 100 of those a week, man. It's crazy. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. And he's got his wife Anna working in there with him. So it's a really cool experience. They're El Salvadorian and they're just in there cooking up like their own home kitchen. It's awesome.
That's great.
And you'll see him every now and then walking out into the tap room, waving to people. And he's got his regulars even now too. He loves going up to the bar and seeing what people think of the food and stuff.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It's a really cool touch for a brewery, right? Now it feels like we're talking about a restaurant.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Do you guys you don't still have music, right? Live music going on?
We pulled it because it was weird how eventually you had to have people outside. You couldn't have them inside unless they were 25 feet, I think it was, from customers, which you got to imagine a lot of places in Worcester, if you're going to put one guy up there singing and have the customers all have to be 25 feet away from him, you probably can barely have any people in the building at all, right?
Yeah.
Like I think of like Electric Haze, like I talked to Corey over there, and it's like he lives on live music, and to have 25 feet from his stage just leaves him like 3 tables. So
yeah,
even having, if you wanted 2 musicians, they need to be 10 feet apart also, so you needed a big kind of stage area. So we actually had to, we moved outside, which is cool. Like we talked about the weather, like being like a plus for us. We didn't really have many crappy weekends this year, so we had people outside playing. But once the weather turned around and daylight savings, I mean, it's dark at like 4. So
yeah,
we pulled the plug on that. We still have, we're covered by all the music licensing companies. We can play like music in there all day, and we have the TV. So sports are back. That's cool. That's keeping people hanging out and something to look at. But the cool thing about tap rooms is even without the music and even without the TV, it's more like a face-to-face kind of interaction kind of spot for the community. So
yeah, exactly. You're there.
People
for
adapt.
The beer. Everything else is just kind of a plus. So.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that was all kind of a bonus stuff that we wanted to offer people when we moved to Worcester as like another reason to come in. You go to a lot of tap rooms and it's no TV, some music, but you're talking and sitting there talking about the beer kind of thing. So everything else is kind of a plus for us, but it's a really good plus to have in a city. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So speaking of new things, Travis designed a new beer label. Did I see that? Did I drink that?
Did he?
Yeah. I didn't know how to like.
Did he?
Mine's downstairs.
Look at that.
It's fun, man. I didn't know how to slide into that. So yeah.
So that is Woo, our new 10% juicy hazy Imperial IPA. Artwork done by Travis Duda of Hunchback Graphics. This was really fun. This is something so new for us. Yeah.
JT hit me up with an opportunity. He said that this is going to be unlike the rest of their offerings. So we had a chance to go a little different with the label and to have a little fun with it. He said the name, and that's immediately, you can't help but think of Ric Flair and a woo. So, yeah. Now, I find it funny. One of the things that I'm going to ask you, have you noticed that people are asking, why isn't he wearing a boa?
I actually haven't heard that yet.
People keep asking me, why isn't he wearing a boa?
Made a mullet. People ask me if we could have made a mullet, but I haven't heard the boa yet.
The mullet would have been good. I'm probably going to try that. No, but so for whatever reason, some people think he wears a boa, but he had the kimono. What?
People look at it and know immediately. Like they know immediately that it's Ric Flair. Like it's not it's not like it's a question for them.
Yeah. So like I always knew him for the kimonos.
Me too.
I'm sure. Yeah. Like the robes. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, the robes.
This,
or whatever
this
you want to call it.
Yeah, I guess I'm not cultured.
I don't know. I truly don't know what the difference is. I mean, I'm not cultured enough to know that. So
this could be a robe or a kimono, and I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Same.
But yeah, so it was super fun to work on. Is it getting a good response? Like, have people come into the beer hall and yelled "boo"?
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the first day we released, I mean, it's the first new beer we've done in a while, new brand that we've done in a while. So that obviously was going to generate something we wanted to capitalize on, make it something super, super fun to want to pick up and say, obviously. So, I mean, it's been our highest seller since we launched it in cans and on draft. And at 10%, that's tricky to be your highest seller on draft.
Yeah.
I almost feel bad a little bit for the staff. Like that's you're like, oh geez, that's 10% is the highest seller. How'd it go this weekend, guys? But no, I mean,
people 6 feet apart after that one. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're gonna be like South Park with the poles, like in the tap room soon. When you walk in, you have to grab your pole and like. But no, the first person that I heard order it that Friday, my sister Abby works in the tap room and she knew the whole story, like front to back. She was like telling people about it. They said, "Oh, I want a woo. I want to try that woo." She said, "But you didn't. Did you say? I didn't. Did you say it right?" And they're like, "Oh, woo!" And then all of a sudden they're all wooing, and 10 minutes later she's going, "All right, I'm going to regret that."
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Everybody's wooing across the tap room, but no, that's what we wanted, right? Like it's driving a buzz for sure. And haven't checked today, but as of this weekend, it was our highest rated beer. That always happens with a new release, but it was way up there on Untapped, which is what we kind of use as the baseline because of the amount of people that use it. So it was way up there. So I'm sure that's driving a little bit of it. It's going to be hitting stores this week. So you'll see the woo on shelves.
Nice.
Maybe people in the liquor stores will be wooing when they see it.
Is that regionally? Is that like how far out can people find it? In Worcester only?
It's going to be Worcester County this week. And then after that, you'll see a new batch coming out, and then we'll, label it up again. And that's going to probably hit Boston also, and, limited locations like probably a pallet going to Rhode Island, a pallet going to Pennsylvania kind of thing. So it'll be, people will be wooing everywhere.
Wooing across the nation.
Yeah, at least the Northeast for now.
There you go.
I mean, I think it's rad. So like I have a business coach that I've been working with, and she's out in Seattle, and her and her husband happen to be beer, not snobs so much as beer nerds, better way to describe it. Cause they're just enthusiasts. The other one, the Pulp Daddy DDH label I designed, I showed her the label and she goes, I've tried that. And I go, stop it. How have you tried that? You've never been to the East Coast. She got they're part of some program where they shop online and it sends.
Tavor,
That's what it is.
Yeah.
What is it? Yeah. What is that called?
It's called Tavor, and they're a distributor, or they're actually a retailer that I use. They're based in Seattle. They actually have the license and the capability in Washington to ship beer all over the country. So, I mean, that's becoming more of a thing in more parts of the country, but it is really cool because it's like an online store. What you do is you go in there, you pick your beers, you build a case, and then once your case is full, they ship it to you. So you can either build it all at once, or you can, wait for new ones to be released. And once your case is full, it gets shipped to you. I mean, you pay up by the can, so it's not super cheap, but you get access to beer that people don't get access to normally.
And that's exactly what she said. Her and her husband have been able to try breweries. Like she's tried Greater Good from Worcester, Massachusetts, all the way out in Seattle, and she probably wouldn't have had the opportunity. Except
you didn't tell her, just look at the can. She's like, what? There's your name on it.
Yeah. Now, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's cool. And I think that's smart. And like, that's the kind of stuff that Greater Good you guys keep doing that I find fascinating. You guys keep coming up with clever ways to just like put yourselves out there or get yourselves into the market. My best friend, Matt, to this day maintains that his favorite show beer is the Greater Good he can buy at the Palladium, because it's fucking rad that amidst all this shitty beer, you can get a good local brew.
I'm wondering what they even pour there. I've heard people I talk to from the Palladium tell me that they sell a lot of Helena, which is amazing because that doesn't get sold a lot in many places. It's a 10% in like cherry ale. They carried that all season last season they were open. I think they had the crushed groove also, which is amazing that you can get that there. But people I talked to were like, I had that red beer.
Yeah, every single Palladium outdoor show, it was just crushed groove.
Yep.
I'd have like 4 crushed grooves, and then I'd have to like step down to Miller Lights because,
yeah. Well, you
gotta start drinking water.
I'd start my day at Armsby and have like 2 Hill Farmsteads. Walk down to the Palladium, just crush grooves all afternoon, and then by the end of the night, I'm like Miller Lights, and then hopefully home. But usually not.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Something that makes you hit the porta potty. You're like, I got.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it out.
Yeah, so like that's super cool. Like, I mean, is there any other like interesting places that we wouldn't expect to find Greater Good, or kind of like, I don't know.
I mean,
I'm kind of putting you on the spot.
No, I know I'm probably the right guy because I dealt with a lot of our accounts up until recently. We hired. I'm the evangelist, so I'm gonna preach here. No, we're definitely in Vermont, so you can go to some like really cool bottle shops in Vermont if you're like up in that area, and like where you find like really cool bottles, you'll find a lot of Greater Good. Like I go to Stowe and there's places up there. Awesome. We've been attempting to get into some of the resorts up there, and until this past season where they kind of had to slow down a little bit, that was going really well. But Wachusett Mountain sells a ton of our stuff. So if you're ever in that area, but even out by Greylock, like, our beer Greylock. So we started, like, our first market was commercial distribution out in Western Mass. So we have a really loyal following out there, and you can find it, a lot of those small towns bottle shops still out in Western Mass do a lot of volume for us. So
that's so cool.
And even down in Boston, we move a lot of draft in Boston now too, which people are starting to realize more and more of, is that if you go into a nicer place in the greater Boston area, Pulp Daddy has pretty much claimed the line in a lot of places. So it's getting out there. But yeah, like I said, Pennsylvania and Rhode Island first were this year, and we're just looking into New Hampshire for 2021. So more and more. But Tavour definitely lends to some of the coolest places, because I'll go on Untappd just to see where people are drinking our beer, and it'll be all over the country just because of the service that we use in Tavour.
I didn't think of it that way, that you could also see where they are.
Yeah, as long as they check where they're drinking the beer, I'm like, oh, well, this person's, and we get to see numbers from Tavour also where our beer sells really well. And that's super interesting, because these are places that we haven't had any face-to-face, and they have really no brand recognition. So if I look at their sales report and I'm like, well, the beer's selling in Montana and Arizona and Colorado, which is cool. Colorado has a lot of beer in it. But those places, and we're sitting down wondering, why are we selling so high above the average in these states? And I'm telling them, like, Paul, and then I'm like, well, look at the logo. It's a moose skull, like in these like Midwestern states, like up in the Northwest, like that kills it. They're probably like, oh, it's a juicy, hazy IPA, but look at that. It's got a cool moose skull on there.
You might as well just put a drink me sticker on it, because it's going to have
exactly, the same.
Right?
Oh, yeah, man. Exactly. But it's
That's
a cool
so
brand.
Yeah, exactly. Like their branding's great. It's funny thinking about people drinking your beer that don't know you guys, because like, I mean, it's easy for me to say, like, we know you guys personally, but also I feel like everybody in Worcester at least like knows you, or knows Paul, or knows somebody that has some kind of connection to the brewery. So to have people all over the country who have never been there love the beer just as much, like that like speaks to how great the beer is. Awesome.
It does. And that's where like you take like the ratings like a double-edged sword, kind of like you don't take them too seriously, but you kind of have to, because if it's a 4.2, that's the reason somebody's picking it off a website like that, right? So at least it's getting it into their hands, and then they're enjoying it, and it's something that we kind of thought from the beginning that we had the potential to do, which was, I mean, like you said, Worcester for the most part, knows Greater Good really well, whether it's myself or Paul or anybody in the company, or just the brewery in general. But the ability to bring people to Worcester using that brand is something that's really cool and beneficial to, the city and, us as well.
That's what I was going to ask. Are you seeing like the beer? I don't know if they call them vacationers. Like, I don't know what the term is, but people.
Beer tourism is a real thing, man.
Yeah, like,
totally.
Very much so.
Are you seeing people come to Worcester for the beer?
So rewind 1 year. Yes,
right,
we were seeing
fair.
Seeing a parking lot full of different license plates all over, definitely New England, but even further. And I knew it was a thing. If you had the product, it was a thing. Because I worked for a Trillium Brewing Company, which you both might know, for a couple of years before Greater Good. And I worked downtown in Boston, and I got a lot of the people that were getting off the planes, like from Logan Airport, and beer was their first stop. They were stopping in Congress Street in Boston. And then they'd be like, well, where do I go next for beer? I'm like, well, you just bought all this beer. What do you mean? Where do you go next for beer?
This is going to get me to the next place.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, wow. So these people are really landing in Boston, this major city. And what they're thinking is, I got to hit all the local breweries first. So we knew it was a thing. And being so close to being in Massachusetts, where beer is such a huge thing. You got some giant companies. Like, we knew we had that shot to bring people in, or at least be part of that process of bringing people in. So nowadays, not so many out-of-state plates in the parking lot, but
yeah,
but we definitely know that there's people interested in coming to Worcester for Greater Good, and then maybe spending the day in Worcester, hopefully, and then experiencing a bunch of the other places like in our neighborhood, North Worcester, we've talked about is blowing up a little bit, and then just downtown Canal District, all that.
Yeah. We just had Buds on 2 weeks ago, and then I met Jen for the first time.
Oh, Jen's
who
awesome,
works there. Yeah, she's the best. And she was talking. She's like, yeah, like it's so cool thinking about like this neighborhood where like, for a long time, like Greater Good kind of was the only thing going on over there.
Yeah.
It was like you guys
the Costas open and closed. Yeah, the Costas was up and down. Like, yeah. Now there's like car dealerships and cell phone shops for a while.
Yeah.
Crown Bakery, that's over there.
Crown, right. And then, but they closed down like pretty much right after we moved in. That was a bummer. We had talked about maybe doing like spent grain bread with them and stuff like that, but
that would have been cool.
It would have been really sweet, right? But now we have crust right over there too, so that's another.
Right.
Sure.
No, that's a lot of cool stuff.
I'm just pumped because like I live over here now, so it's like everything in that area is like 2 minutes or 5 minutes from my house. So it's
Yeah, same. Like I'm right down the street from the brewery, so to see it's beneficial to me personally, also, as well as the neighborhood having like the bumping neighborhood. So it's been a really cool 3 years to see what I think it's been about 3 now. How long's
It
COVID?
blows my mind that it's only 3 though. Like it
Me
feels
too.
like you guys are such a mainstay in the community now.
And March of 2018 is when we opened, so it hasn't even been 3 yet.
No shit.
That's so insane. The first time I ever had. Did you really?
I came on in November of 2017, so I was there several months before we opened. So actually, December. So I'm coming up on my personal 3 year with Very Good, but yeah. So before we opened, I was there. Yeah, and so maybe that's why I probably met you guys before we were even open.
I was gonna say, would that have been the first year that you guys did Brew Woo?
The first year we did Brew Woo. Yeah, that was probably right before we opened. That was probably right around the same time. It's usually March. I think they usually do Brew Woo in March.
It's March or April.
I hadn't done that fest before. That's a great fest, by the way. That's an awesome fest. But I hadn't done that fest before that year. So yeah, that must have been 2018 was my first year. So I've done it for the past 3 years. So it was right before we opened.
Yeah, I remember that's the first time I ever had Greater Good was there. And I don't remember who I talked to. It was probably you.
Could have been me, yep.
Saying that you guys were going to open a tap room in Worcester. And then pretty shortly thereafter, it was there.
Yeah, no, that was, so awesome. You made that might've been Paul actually, because he was working on it in 2017. He was working on it in 2017. Okay. So it depends on what year it was. Could have been me, could have been Paul. Very different looking people, but
yeah, a little bit,
but no, yeah, there were plans here. I believe in 2016 it was when he originally started thinking about Worcester and talking to companies about properties that were available and what would be good for a brewery before settling on 55 Millbrook, which some people said, why are you doing that over there? That's kind of out of the way. And it's a big parking lot, big giant space. The parking lot's a huge selling point. When I talk to people at fests in Boston or in other places, I'm like, I know that you traditionally think there's no parking if you're going to come to Worcester, but we got a big parking lot. So
yeah,
so
that's like the number one seller you guys have. Well, I mean, obviously the beer is number one, but like,
but like
the fact that you can park, it's huge.
Taking a left out of that lot is a little sketchy sometimes, but other than that, everything else is perfect. You just got to be mindful.
Yeah, just be mindful of the people doing 50 right there. No, and actually, I know I've talked to city councilors and stuff like that. I believe there's going to be a crosswalk with a light there, blinking light there someday, and better sidewalk like areas. So I can't promise that because I don't work for the city.
Yeah, but you keep bringing people over to that area. They can't ignore it.
And if you look, there's construction going across the street right now at 53 Millbrook or 57? It's right across the street from us. They're digging a foundation right now, and that's going to be a new recreational and medical marijuana plant.
Like a grow operation?
Like a shop, yeah.
A shop or a grow operation?
1 second, guys. My heat's going crazy. I'm going to turn it off.
I thought it was somebody just banging shit in the back.
We used to have that same heat problem at our apartment on over in Tatnick. We had the same radiator.
Oh yeah, system. It's an old house and there's that we gotta bleed the radiator now that we're using it every day.
Yeah. Last year was my first year ever having to do that. My apartment in Tatnick, it was kind of an older building and we had an older heating system. I've never had to bleed radiators. I never grew up with them. So it was kind of a weird thing, but
I haven't used these ones before. Well, actually I had one in my old apartment, but never made the clanging sound like this. So we were like, oh, is this going to blow up? And she was like, you just got to believe. I'm like, okay, we'll figure this out.
Yeah. The first couple days that it was really, really cold, probably last November or December, we had the heat on and we were trying to go to bed. Naomi's like, what the fuck is that noise? Because there was a radiator right next to her side of the bed and it was just ping, ping. It's I don't know.
And it's an open concept apartment, so we have no doors on anything. So it's 4 radiators competing for who can be the loudest.
It's listening to 4 of those guys play the pots and pans down.
That's essentially. No, that's Aviva out there.
I actually thought that's what it was. I thought because we've had this thing where people have been cooking in the background or.
Yep.
We're on Zoom. You kind of just fucking roll with the punches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she's probably doing something similar in there for her job. So that would not be not doing dishes or anything.
She's not practicing the pipes
or doing bongos or anything like that.
Yeah.
Complete random
So
aside,
funny.
but Sarah was listening to Christmas music this weekend. This makes sense, trust me. And she had the little drummer boy playing as she was decorating the house. And that is, to me now, such an absurd song that I texted our buddy Sean Connolly, who just had a kid. And I said, hey, Sean, do you mind if I come bring my snare drum and just riff on it for your baby boy that's just like 4 days old? I promise I'll play my best for him.
He probably had something hilarious to say back, I'm sure.
He told me to go listen to the Neil Diamond version of the song, and that's what I did.
I'm not surprised that there's a Neil Diamond version, but I'm just surprised that was like the thing he sent back to you.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it, but I should have expected something that I wasn't going to expect.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's too good.
Anyway,
sorry, my orchestra of
no need to apologize.
Pipes.
We live in New England.
No worries.
They're old houses.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we're right on the lake too. So every time the wind blows, the heat kicks on.
Yep. I used to live in that area. I don't know, like 5 years ago. Yeah, 2015. I lived right off of the lake.
Yeah, didn't you work right down here? Was that the Starbucks that you were at?
I worked at that Starbucks, which is now Crust. And then I lived off of, what the heck was the name of that road? It's, I should know this. I lived there, but it was one of the streets that
it was like 4 COVIDs ago.
Right?
4 COVIDs.
Seriously. 4 COVIDs ago. No, it was, what the heck? I want to say McClintock. Is that a road over there? Am I making that up?
That sounds that sounds right. I'd have to walk my neighborhood.
I think that's the name of the road.
I live here now and I don't know. They're all one-way roads.
Yeah, basically.
So
it's a cool spot though.
I know it's a crazy thought, but just maybe, is there a time when you're not drinking great or good? And if so, like, what are some other beers you like to taste, in addition to great or good?
No, like I said, I go down to Washington Wine Spirits. I sample their selection. I go see our friends at other breweries and stuff like that. I really can't say there's like really one. Like I'll pick up whatever was new, something I haven't seen before, on the shelf down there. If I go to a brewery, I ask. I'm noticing Redemption Rock out here a little bit more, like on the shelves over here. So I haven't been to their brewery for a couple months now, but I'm seeing them on shelves a little bit more. I've always been a fan of like the classics. Like Topple and Goliath was always one of my favorites for shelf beers. Let's see, Single Cut is another one from New York that I've always enjoyed picking up. Can't get my hands on the big guys like Hill Farmstead as often as you used to. At the dive bar, that was my go-to in the Armsby if I wanted something like that.
Same.
I still see the guys at Trillium, but not as much. And for me, it's really about whoever's doing new stuff, and if it's something that's compelling, if it's a fresh beer, and if you were able to get it on a shelf, I look at the date and I'm like, wow, this was a beer that was brewed, just a couple weeks ago. It was packaged.
Yeah,
that's impressive to me. Coming from my perspective, is that you brewed it, you got it on a truck to distribution, and then it got to the store, and you're getting it fresher than some breweries that wait in line to get beer from. That's really cool to me. It's impressive to be able to work that new kind of demand from customers for fresh beer on shelves, and kind of deliver on that.
Have you guys kicked around the idea of doing beer delivery?
We actually just this week launched it, like a soft launch for beer delivery. So
really?
I had 4 people. Yeah. It was low key.
That's
like we want to get the infrastructure in place for it. We just launched like a new POS system that integrates with it. It was a whole project, but we're ready to go. So we're like, this week really going to start ramping it up as the weather gets worse and people, some of the feedback from people that I've had so far is I like going to the brewery. I like getting out of the house, and just sometimes I sit in the parking lot for an extra 10 minutes and listen to music. Like kind of thing. It's like, I'm in the house all the time. I want to go somewhere. But I personally did the deliveries this week that we had for them. There was only a handful of them, but it's people middle of the day who are, they look like you guys right now, earbuds in, they're like coming to the door. They give me like, here's like $2. Like, oh, thank you. But it's like, I just want you to enjoy this beer. Like, I'm just happy to get you this beer right now. But you can tell they're like at work, like during the day on conference calls.
They don't even know who you are. Probably. They just think you're just some beer delivery guy. They don't know that the beer evangelist has personally brought them beer with such great goddamn service. Here's a buck. Don't spend it all in one place, hippie.
I'm just like, thank you so much, but like, here you go. Like, I'm glad that you can have this beer. You can go back onto your conference call in there at work. You're probably telling your buddies, I just got my beer delivered. Like that's a cool thing for us.
Yeah. Whoa. I just like whipped my cord. That was weird. It's such a cool concept, but the only place I saw doing it was Trillium. That's why I was wondering, like, if you guys were getting in, is that becoming more of a thing in the beer world, or? I
think that it was kind of this weird equilibrium where I can't speak for them, but they make a lot more beer than us. So when the restrictions hit them, they were trying to get beer out a little bit further, but now they've streamlined it. So that's like an actual like revenue stream that's pumping for them. And it's
so
helped them out big time. So we did see that. We do have a different license in Trillium. We're a pub brewery versus a farmer brewer. So things are a little bit different, but in terms of delivery, as long as, we're, checking ID and stuff like that, that's the main thing, the main hurdle to get over. So people are paying online. And now it's just like, hey, bud, which is funny because the first 4 people that I delivered beer to, I was like, I know you from the tap room. It's our regulars who are like, I can't, but it's not people who are like, oh, beer delivery might be the next thing. It's people who are like, thank God, Greater Good will just come to my home now.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
That's something that we're going to really ramp up this, going into the end of this year and then Q1 of next year, try and, build that out. Because as of right now, it's set up. You can only place a delivery order on our website if you're within 12 miles of the brewery. That's kind of to keep the bandwidth down on us. But as we move on, we'll probably pick different days to deliver to different areas because people that are here in Worcester like coming to the brewery and picking the beer up, even if it's for a brief second, and just, pick it up and say hi.
For what it's worth, I would pay more money if you guys got like a moose that you can go and make deliveries on. And in the middle of this like snow winter that's coming, if JT rolled up, I don't even drink that much beer. I would buy beer after beer.
On an actual like moose, like with a red nose. I do have the moose costume, which you may or may not be aware of. I do have a moose costume.
I was not aware.
You might have seen it. It's about a 6'1" moose mascot costume, big giant head. It's got this grimacing face. And we even had our buddies at One Off make a shirt for us that says, Greater Good on the front here. And then it's like Jersey style. So on the back, it says Chugz across the top because that's his name. Chugz.
Chubs or Chugz?
Chugz.
Okay.
Chugz or Z. Sorry, Z.
Oh, of course.
And it says where the number is. Yeah. Where the number is, it says 8%. So Chugz, 8%. And he's just this big muscular moose with like an 8-pack that looks mean. Just he embodies the Imperial, the brand. So maybe if we did deliveries in that would be an extra little service fee if we're gonna get Chugz dusted off and out of quarantine.
I don't know. It's just I think you need to do those fun things. Because like at the beginning of quarantine, there were strippers that turned into delivery people, and I saw that. Yeah, they were delivering food in their stripper outfits.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to scar anyone, buddy. I don't feel it's safe driving the with moose head on, but
I was going to say you'd have to have like
that would come out of it.
Like the sickest videos ever.
I had like these great ideas for like having this costume before COVID, as we got it like 2 months before COVID. I was gonna like just walk into restaurants that serve Greater Good and like sit down at the bar and just like get content that way, like promote our accounts, also like promote Greater Good, and that obviously is like on pause for now. But
who has a convertible that they can drive you around like you're JFK or something?
Does anybody know Joyner Lucas?
Joyner, do a video with Chugz.
Oh, it'd be too good. No, it's been unfortunate that's been one of the casualties of this whole pandemic, is not being able to use that more.
Yeah.
It's gold mine.
Well,
2021.
Yeah, right.
2021. Coming up all Chugz.
Coming up all Chugz. That might be the title of the episode.
Yeah.
So good.
Well,
before I'm Travis, I'm going to cut you off. I'm sorry. So you guys, I remember you had Shinedown play in the brewery.
Yeah, that was wild, right? That was just crazy. That was so weird. I was working with XLO or Cumulus Media on like a contracts for radio advertising, and at the same time they were looking for like a small intimate venue for a show, and it was kind of like, well, we'll do this, you do that, kind of like, let's this be a kickoff to our relationship kind of thing, and that's how that worked out. It was wild because they're always looking for partners to like do that kind of stuff. I think they have a studio in their station that was under renovation at the time too. So everything just fell into place. That was really crazy, like out of nowhere, like kind of thing where any band would be cool for them to hook us up with. Like they were talking about like Lovely the band, or that's one of them that they were like promoting, I think, is Lovely the band at that time. And I was like, oh, that's like a cool like new up and comer. And then they were like, oh, well, we have Shinedown that one's coming. I was like, Shinedown, like what? Like the band I've known for like 20 years, Shinedown, like
right?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So they had those guys came in, and Zach, and that was freaking crazy. And a couple of our staff got to work it, and it was really intimate. I think there was under 40 people there that they gave away tickets to, like their fan club, and it was just something that I would love to do again, obviously, but who knows? That's kind of like a cards align kind of thing where, I mean, they showed up like full on like rock star style, showed up back door, came up that wooden ramp in the back door, went down like the loading dock that's like all like you wouldn't even think you were like walking into like an episode, like a Saw movie or something like that when you walk down there.
Yeah.
And I let them in the back door to the break room, and they stood in the break room for like 10 minutes. Nobody even knew they were in the building yet. And then they walked out from the tanks. So they walked out like from where the brewers hang out, and just like, yeah. And everybody was like, what? Here they come from the brewery.
That's so sick.
Quick 3-song acoustic set, like signed a couple autographs, and then whoop, right out the back door, and then like they were never there. It was wild.
That's amazing.
No,
did they drink any of the beer?
We sent them with beer. Actually, I think both of them are sober, but we sent them for their crew. Yeah, I believe they're both sober and very fit now. They've gone to CrossFit and that kind of stuff. Like I was like, geez, nice. You probably don't drink any beer, huh? Just looking at you. Yeah. I know you've had an IPA, like an 8% IPA for years. But no, that was something. Yeah, no, I'm glad you bring that up because I forget that happened sometimes because it was so quick and it was just like, that just happened. Like they were in and out and like they just played 3 songs, and I got all these videos of them like 2 feet away just playing and talking to the crowd and stuff like that. So just these little things that, I mean, you know, having Cumulus and XLO right there in Worcester. Yeah, is like he's like super like people don't even realize like the potential that comes from that. There's bands in the city all the time and people promoting. So chalk one up for Worcester.
That's what's up.
That was really awesome. I don't know how much time you guys have left, but we did want to talk. Have you guys had a chance to get these yet?
I have not had one yet.
You haven't had one yet, so we're gonna have to get you guys some of the seltzers, but I wouldn't crack and chug them. They are 8%, but we do have we launched with the 2 citrus flavors, tangerine, lemon. That's pretty standard, right, for seltzer. And then launched over into the black cherry. People, I mean, we look at numbers and people love the black cherry.
My old roommate is a huge black cherry fan.
Yeah. So
every time we got bowler, he always got black cherry.
There's something about black cherry for me that has always been kind of like syrupy, like kind of like cough syrupy. I don't know. Maybe it was just like Robitussin as a kid or something like that. But this, the flavor in this is subtle. So that's my favorite thing is about it. And then the acai berry. That's
that one. I was looking at that one on the Instagram earlier. That one sounds like something I would really like to try. I've never had an acai seltzer before.
Yeah, I hadn't either. And but that one is feedback is the best on that one so far. They all have great feedback, and even when I go online and check the ratings compared to other places, they're really good. But I mean, personally, I'm not a hard seltzer drinker, but just it's getting to be too much, right? Like I'm the beer evangelist. Where's seltzer fall into this category? But that's been the fun thing is adapting to seltzer food, all these new things that are up and coming in the beer market, and kind of like adjuncts or like tangent to the beer industry that they're really like kind of carrying it all forward. I would imagine that just about everywhere has one soon.
Most likely, yeah. Is the hard seltzer a brewery exclusive, or is that being distributed all over?
That first batch was, this is kind of how we do it. The first batch was, done at the brewery, and it blew up. So we knew that our customers are from all over Massachusetts. They're all from all over Central Mass, at least. So they'd buy it on shelves too. They had great feedback in the brewery. So we launched 2 of the 4 flavors. I think it was, or no, all of them but the acai berry went out to distro. So the other 3 went out to distro. And the 4th one will be going out to distro, before the end of the year. So you'll be able to see all 4 of them out there pretty soon.
You could stock some stuffing or stuff some stockings with them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A couple 4-packs.
Yeah. Why not?
There you go. The best kind of gift.
So I think we've done it. I think we've gone about 45, but I would be amiss if I didn't call attention to the fact that I was pumped that JT was one of the first human beings that I ran into in the middle of the pandemic, where I saw him and Viva out walking the paths near our house. That was like what, 4 years ago? It felt like.
That was like 2 years ago.
And you're totally one of the dudes we'd always just run into around the city, and that's one of the things I missed throughout.
Yeah, that's kind of the cool thing, right? Like I remember all those years ago when I'd see you guys out in Worcester when I was a young kid. I'd see you everywhere. Yeah, so that was a cool little COVID instance to run into you guys walking on the trail there. And it's like, oh, cool. I guess it's the same but different. We're in masks walking a trail in the woods, but instead of being downtown or something.
For a brief moment, it reminded us that we were normal, or like it felt normal.
Yes.
Just for a moment.
Running into people spontaneously.
Yeah.
It never happens anymore. Like even when Travis was setting this up, I was like, hey, yeah, where should I meet you guys? And then immediately I was like, no, can't break that habit. No, I'll see you on Zoom.
I know we haven't interviewed anybody in person since March, second week of March, I think.
It's been a while.
It's been a very long.
And again, you said it, and I'm thinking like, oh man, we probably could bring a mic to the brewery and stand real far apart, but it's not worth it.
No, a lot of work, and you would have not been able to hear my pipes.
Well, the song of the people. But once this shit is a little less crazy, we do want to set something up with you guys. I mean,
oh yeah,
clearly we're Greater Good fans, and it would be fun to do a joint thing together.
We get some live shows going or something like that.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
That would be so sick.
I'm into it.
Well,
JT, how do people find Greater Good on the internet, and how do people find you if you want them to?
You can find Greater Good at www.greatergoodimperials.com. You can order your beer, pay for it there. You can find our whole, beer Bible that breaks down all of our beers. It's got hops, grain, the recipes basically for all the beers. So any questions you have for Greater Good will be on greatergoodimperials.com. And you can also find us on social media at Greater Good Imperials on Instagram, at Greater Good Brew on Twitter, and then obviously on Facebook. And if you find us there, you're going to find me somehow, because you'll run into me if that's the case, if you find us on social.
Oh yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on.
No, it was fun. Thank you guys for having me. Hope to see you, whether through Zoom or, running into you on a trail at some point in the future.
Yeah. Soon.
Yes.
You'll probably see me at the brewery before a trail, but
there we go. We'll have some seltzer for you.
There you go. That was super fun.
Thanks,
thank
JT.
you, JT.
Yeah, hell yeah.
JT's the man. It's awesome to hear, Greater Good's still killing it. They're always on board with adapting. That's one of my favorite things about that brewery is they're not really stuck in one way of thinking, which is great. It's super important. So it's cool to hear that they're doing the deliveries, and they were crazy for, curbside pickup for cases during peak COVID, and their kitchen. I've seen the pictures that Sal posts. Absolutely kills me because this stuff looks so good.
I was also getting hungry through that whole thing. I'm still hungry right now just thinking about some of that food.
For real. No, that was fun. That was a fun one.
Love seeing that, and I love that we have so many people looking to make Worcester a cool spot. And now because of people like Greater Good, Worcester is now known for a beer culture, which is pretty fucking cool.
That's pretty dope.
So
I'm into it.
Thanks, JT. I think it's about that time.
Let's do it.
Hit us with that good Solon.
When you hit them with those stoves, ow! Gotta slap them with those pokes. Oh, yeah. Stokes and pokes.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with my poke. And for my other internet fans like me, there was a story that's been going around the internet for a few years now, but a kid named Jamal Hinton who got a text message from a wrong number inviting him to Thanksgiving dinner. And he responded by saying, "Who is this?" And he said, the number comes back, "It's your grandmother." And then he's like, can you send a picture? And she's like, "Why? This is your grandmother." And she sends a picture, and she's a really sweet older white woman. And he, at the time, was a 17-year-old black kid. I mean, he's still a black kid, but he's just not 17 anymore. And the heartwarming part of the story is that she realized the mistake and still invited him to dinner. And then he still went. And then for 4 more years, him and now his girlfriend goes and has dinner with her family. And it's a super sweet, heartwarming story of just humans being good humans. And then I saw it come up come across my news feed this week. And I'm like, awesome. Like, this is what I needed. I needed a nice positive story. And it was. And they had a small Thanksgiving dinner, super boiled down, but they had a spot missing at the table this year. And they had a picture set for the woman's name is Lonnie. And his name was Lonnie. Her name was Wanda. He passed away earlier, back in April, of coronavirus. So they had an empty seat at the table, and it was just like, it hit me in the core. I actually wept. Like, I was so teary-eyed reading about this story because, yeah, man. And in a what should have been just a beautiful, heartwarming story, is still smacked with this fucking real reality. So if you know what I'm talking about, go Google Jamal Hinton, Wanda Dench, I think it's her last name. And it's a cool story.
Nice.
I am stoked. I've brought it up many times that I'm a fan of YouTube. And so I'll branch out. I'll start watching random things, and YouTube will give me some random suggestions. And this title came across my screen called Sassy Justice. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, something about this looks weird, but all right, I'll give it a shot. And then I looked at the thing and it says from Matt Stone and Trey Parker. And I went, I'm absolutely watching this now. And they've released the first episode back in October. And in the first episode is this 25-minute, it's the first like deep fake satirical comedy that I've ever seen, where the main character is this sassy justice person, but it's definitely a dude. It's this Peter Serafinowicz as Donald Trump in this funny wig, but they're using deep fake technology. So it has Donald Trump's actual face on this actor as he's like walking around. But the whole thing is all about how he's exposing how deep fake technology is around and how like people can get you to say anything like poo poo and vagina. And then they have Al Gore come on, and it is like I think it's Trey Parker's Al Gore. And it's like, guys, I'm super stereo, but it's actually Al Gore's face. It's just, the whole thing is wonderful. It's on YouTube. It's like 25-minute long. Sassy Justice. Definitely. I'm not doing it justice. Definitely go check it out. It's hilarious.
Okay. That sounds
Matt
dope.
Stone, Trey Parker, for anybody that doesn't know those names off the top of your head, they're the creators of South Park and lots of other stuff. Book of Mormon.
Yeah. Book of Mormon is the best thing in the whole world. It's so funny.
Like,
I had to take my headphones out.
Notice that. You're all good. I think so. Like, that to me is what's when they really transcended from just like the fart jokes from South Park. When my mother-in-law, who was like a 60-year-old kind of refined woman, was singing all these Book of Mormon songs, and we got to tell her like, they're the same people from South Park. That joke, that whole musical originated in South Park.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So good. We saw Book of Mormon last summer.
Yeah. Did you like it?
Yeah, it was absolutely unbelievable. It was one of the funniest things it was probably the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It was so good because I knew nothing about it going into it. We went down to New York to see Hamilton, and then the next night we were like, oh, we should just go to something else. We'll see like what we can get last minute tickets to. So we walked down to the theater because then Naomi was telling me about it, and I was like, let's try to go to that. Like, that sounds like something that I would love. And I think she's seen it before. She might have seen it in Boston.
Okay.
But yeah, we loved it. It was so fucking funny.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't seen it, but I'd like to. What do you got for the people?
All right, what's up, guys? So I had to move down to the floor because I had to plug
That
in the
hat. We didn't get to see that
this is
hat before.
This is my stoke. I'll start with my stoke. Okay. So my stoke this week is my Dr. Fauci hat that says, wash your hands. Can't really see it because it's backwards. And I'm obsessed with it.
Where did you get that?
All right. So there's this company called Ebbets Field Flannels. They make like, so like for hats, they do like the old school baseball, like wool, like this is like a wool hat. They do those, they do like the old school baseball jerseys. They do like jackets and things like that. This is a collaboration with, I had to make notes because I always forget the people who actually like designed it, but there's an artist, Micah Smith, who I follow. I think that's how I saw this hat actually. So him and Max Wessler, who's a writer, collaborated on this hat, designed it. They did it with Ebbets Field because they make the best stuff ever. And 50% of all the proceeds went to the Steps of Faith Foundation, which is a nonprofit that helps uninsured or underinsured amputees get help with.
That's awesome.
Stuff.
That's all awesome.
Yeah, it's super, super, super dope. I mean, Dr. Fauci is like, the hero of 2020, or the villain, depending on your beliefs in science, your beliefs in facts, depending on how much you believe on facts. Fauci's either the best or the worst. But yeah, I had to buy this hat. It was a pre-order back in August, I want to say. It was either like August or like very beginning of September. And so it was a pre-order. They had up for like 24 hours. And the hat was supposed to be delivered by October 30th. But due to COVID, it got pushed back a month. And then I got it, I don't know, 3 or 4 days ago. So Friday. I think it came in Friday. But yeah, so I'm super stoked on it because I love this hat and Fauci is my boy.
It's a great hat.
All about washing those hands, So yeah, there's that. And then my poke is, if you guys haven't been able to tell, this thing on my face, my beard, has gotten a little gross and out of control. And in true me fashion, I've procrastinated getting a haircut and a beard trim, even though I literally work 2 days a week in the same building as my barber, and I talk to him all the time.
He doesn't tell you look like shit?
No, I wish he would.
Josh has told me that my hair looks like shit before. He's like, yo, you gotta come see me. Your hair looks like shit.
My hair isn't, I mean, it's bad because I slept on it and I've been wearing a hat.
Oh, it's not that bad.
But like, my hair's not that bad, but my beard grows like way, way, way too fast. So the other day I went to set up an appointment for Tuesday. So he was booked all last week, which made sense. And then for Tuesday, I was going to book just a beard. I don't really want to get a full haircut. I just want to have my beard taken in, but he's not doing beards at the moment because of COVID. So as we speak, my razor is charging across the street and I'm going to do it myself.
Hack and slash. Does that mean we're seeing babyface Ricky later today?
I'm not going to shave it all off. I'm just going to like trim it way down unless I screw up.
I was going to say that those sound like famous last words to me.
That's why it's my poke. I have to poke myself into just stop slacking on things. Like I knew I needed to get this done like two weeks ago would have been like the sweet spot, but I could have got it done 3 weeks ago. But instead I waited and now it's gross. It's so gross. So,
so we bought one of those like automatic clippers, right? And it works great, except at some point I lost the number 2 attachment. So like that's the perfect length. It's the perfect length. And so now I have to like go for 3, which is just a little too long, or 1, which is essentially shaved face. So
yeah. I'm sure I probably could text Josh and just be like, can you do my beard? We work in the same building. It's like I'm not going to see him.
Have him just duct tape your mouth shut. So it just
go around it.
That's so stupid.
I'm sure he would do it. Like I feel very confident that he would do it for me, but I don't want to be that person. Like my luck,
Right.
especially like coming from me today, where I've already like slammed my head on a light and like all kinds. I'm not fully dialed in. I can see like a nightmare scenario where he makes the exception, does my beard. Turns out I have COVID. I get the whole world. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that's the case, but I'm just going to play it safe and play by the rules and not try to, get a special privilege out of anything. It's not the time.
Here's hoping that you somehow give the mustache a shot today and it works for you.
If I screw up and have to shave my beard off, I will leave the mustache on, do one video, like one Seltzer Time video, and then I'm going to shave that off too, because I can't pull a mustache off. It doesn't work for me. I look like I don't even know what I look like. It's not fun.
It would be awesome to do a live show where we both have handlebar mustaches, just like the full,
that would actually be very funny.
I don't know why we would, but it would just be a photo. Anyway,
I don't hate it.
Awesome.
We could do that.
All right, people. Well, while Ricky and I figure out what our TikTok plans are, we are going to let you go and hope you can go enjoy and live your life. Find us on the internet at seltzertime.com. Find me personally at Hunchback Travis or at travisduda.com.
You guys can find me at DickChuck77. Oh, real quick, shout out Bagel Time. So the Bagel Time Instagram messaged me the other day. I got so I was on the front page of the Telegram for Worcester Bears.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I had a bunch of people started texting me. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I had no idea. I knew that they were obviously in the store, like taking pictures, but I didn't know what that was going to be for. And they interviewed Jess. So I figured whatever pictures they use will be the ones of Jess. But no, on the front page, it's me packaging orders. It was mad funny.
You're a cover girl.
It's true. That's what I'm here for. Maybe I shouldn't shave this beard. Hey, but, so Bagel Time DM me and they were like, oh my God, I always thought that your name was Dick Chuck. And I was like, that's hilarious. And they were like, yeah, like it made sense. Like I always thought your name was Dick Chuck, whatever. And I was like, no, that's so good. She's like, I didn't know it was Ricky Nelson until I saw you on the paper. So then I was like, well, you're not wrong. Like technically my name is Dick Chuck. It's just Richard Charles. Like,
Right.
So you're not off. You're just not 100% correct. But yeah, so that happened. So you guys can find me at DickChuck77. And then also Seltzer Time Official.
And
we're on TikTok. Page. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on, sometime we'll be on OnlyFans. Sometime we'll be on Cameo. Who knows? We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. Everywhere we want to be. And then
Pinterest.
Fucking Pinterest.
We revived our Tumblr. We revived our MySpace. LimeWire.
Bye, guys.
Peace.